Welcome, everybody, to Breathe Easy, a podcast brought to you by R. Davis Mechanical. Today, we are here with the company's founder, Rob Davis. We're kicking off this series in style because this all came together because you wanted to get your message out there, let people know what this company is all about. And as I've learned in doing this, as I just told you before we turned the mics on here, we did this a little backwards, this being our introductory episode. We did this last, which I think worked out great for me because this gave me a great opportunity to learn more about you, more about your guys, more about the service you provide. And I think most importantly, the customer service that you provide. That's on a very high level. And I think as listeners go through this podcast, they're going to see why you're top of the line when it comes to this industry. But today, as we kick this off, we want to learn more about you and more about the company. So tell us first, Rob Davis, who are you? What brings you to the table today?
I guess it depends on who you ask. I worked for a Fortune 500 company. I was in management. Mm-hmm. When that company decided to close the local facility, they offered to let me go a few other places, but nowhere worth packing my life up and leaving Pittsburgh. When I start thinking about what I wanted to do and who I am and how easily I get bored with things, I gravitated toward looking into the trades. Mm-hmm. So the funny thing is I signed up for school for HVAC and I signed up to take the steam fitters test on the same day. School started in January. I took the test in February. Towards the end of the first semester of school, I got an interview with steam fitters. I told my teachers, well, I might not be here next semester. So at the interview, a lot of stuff happens at the interview. There's a lot of questions. But the funniest part was it was a panel interview, and the one gentleman said to me, hey, Mr. Davis, have you taken this test before? And I said, no. Why? I was kind of befuddled with that question. And he said, well, usually when people score this high, they've taken it 3 or 4 times. And I said, well, how high? He says, well, you got 139. That meant I got 11 questions wrong out of 150.
Wow.
So me being me, I said, well, great. When do I start? Not a single person at the panel smiled. They didn't find that funny at all. And I find it hilarious, So I was like, well, I guess I'm not getting in the union. So I finished school, but when I went to school, I was in my 30s. Mm-hmm. It wasn't very, I wasn't like the other young kids running around. And I said to my instructors, I said, hey, is there anywhere I could work part-time while I'm in school? Because I don't want to graduate and be green. And they basically said, listen, Rob, most places are going to tell you the same thing. By the time you get out of school, they're going to be wrapping up. Me being pig-headed as I am, every truck, van, any advertisement I saw, if it said HVAC, heating and air conditioning, refrigeration, anything that had to do with this trade, I called them. I introduced myself. I said, hey, I'm Rob Davis. I'm finishing my first semester at Dean Tech. I'd like to work after school. I said, you don't even have to pay me. I just want to learn. Mm-hmm. And the guys were, almost every contractor said, listen, by the time you get out, we're not going to be able to help you. Yeah. But I had a list of 10 names that I could call every day at lunchtime. And I worked every day after school for somebody. Yeah. I might be doing refrigeration with one guy one day. I might be doing HVAC another day. I worked with a tin knocker some days. And then a few of those gentlemen reached out to the school to ask if I could work during school hours sometimes, and they allowed it. So when I graduated, I took a job with one of those fellows, and I basically told everybody, listen, I will own my own company. I'm probably not going to be here, long term. And most of them were thought, nah, he's older. He's going to get comfortable and whatever. 3 years later, I started this company.
Wow. Big climb.
Yeah. I probably knew enough to get in trouble. But again, I'm pig-headed. Yeah. At first, it was me and Chris. I knew Chris from the time he was born.
Yeah.
He had a job. He was working for another company. And I basically called him on a Friday and said, Chris, are you still working for this fellow? And he went, yeah. I said, tell him you quit. You're coming to work for me Monday. And he said, okay.
Just like that.
just like that.
Wow.
So if it wasn't for Chris, there probably wouldn't be an R. Davis Mechanical.
Yeah.
Chris was a guy who never had any formal schooling in anything, but he could do everything. Because over his life, he worked as an electrician, he worked with plumbers, he worked at a rad shop welding, he worked with the HVAC company. Sadly, we lost Chris in April.
Yeah, you said very sorry for your loss.
But he deserves as much credit for where we are today as I do, and my wife. A lot of people, it's scary starting a new business.
Sure.
She had to live through that.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot, not just in school, but through those gentlemen that let me work for them while in school, the jobs I took. And one thing I did is I left every job and I left every situation in a positive environment. So I knew when I started this company, I didn't know enough to run a company.
Yeah.
But I knew I had people to lean on.
That's important.
When that thing that I didn't know came up.
Yeah. Good to have a network for sure.
Right. And my whole network is really responsible for me being where we're at now.
Yeah.
So I literally started this, and everybody hears that story. I started it by myself. I'm working out in my kitchen. Well, we were on my back porch, me and Chris. And I had a pickup truck. We loaded it every day and unloaded it every night. It was horrible. But slowly and surely, we started out just doing investor work because I'm a real estate investor as well. And we grew, and we do a lot of program work, and we do work for Mr. and Mrs. Jones. And we rely on, I still, even though I've been in business now, I start year 10 in October. I'm hard on my guys, but I also support my guys, sometimes to a fault. I've defended them in some things where they were wrong and I didn't find out till after the fact.
Yeah.
But I'll do it again tomorrow, today, right now.
Yeah.
Because I know without them, I'm not where I am.
Well, I've learned, as I said, as throughout the day, as we put this series together, customer service is at the top of the list for you guys. And what you do goes, I don't want to say above and beyond what other companies will do, but I will say, at least from my own personal experience, some of the things that people are going to hear when they listen to these episodes, these aren't things you normally get from the people you're working with like if I were to call somebody to have my air conditioner fixed, they're not making sure I'm doing the warranty part by doing it for me. You know what I mean? Like there are things that really make customer service stand out, making sure that parts are ordered and people aren't waiting. Like, again, I could go down the list, but I'd rather everybody just listen to the upcoming episodes to learn all this.
Right.
But as far as customer service goes, what makes you stand out above everyone else in this world in that respect?
I have a sense of responsibility to myself, to my family, to my guys, to my customers. When I started this, I knew that I had a cap. I didn't want to grow to be a 20 truck company that sold eventually to a hedge fund or something. Yeah. I didn't want to be a guy that had to hire people to help me manage my team and then hire someone else to manage my customers. Yeah. That phone number on the website, the phone number on my business card is my cell phone number. When you call, I answer the phone. And there's nothing wrong with secretaries or virtual assistants or any of that, but you're talking to me. On the rare occasion I am not available, you'll get a text. I'll call you right back, and I do. The very few vacations I do take, you're not trying to talk to me, but my phone is forwarded to one of my guys. So you're always going to have somebody with knowledge of maybe not you personally, but they're going to know your equipment. So to me, that's important. I wanted to be big enough to be able to offer jobs and support myself and to be able to do some of the other things that I like to do in donation stuff. You have to be a certain size to be able to afford to do that. But I didn't want to be a giant conglomerate. It's just, I don't need to do $10, $20 million a year in sales to feel successful.
Yeah. And I think that's something that's different for everybody. We all gauge success through different means. Sometimes it can just be the ability to have more time, family and friends. And being able to support your staff and give people a good living and something they can be proud of as well.
Yeah.
So the fact that you've been able to hone in on that and do it so well, again, in talking with your guys today, you can tell they believe in the mission. They believe in what you're putting in front of them.
Yeah.
That's huge.
I'm pretty selective on who I hire.
Mm-hmm.
I would consider everybody who works for me my friend, not really an employee. I mean, yeah, they're employees of the company, but personally, every one of these guys I consider a friend. There's nothing I wouldn't do for them outside of work, and they know that. I've proven it. Everyone, not everybody, but everybody needs help with this or that, or whether it be financial or advice or whatever, and I always answer the call for them.
Yeah.
But I also know if I need one of them to answer the call for me, that they will do their best that they can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that road definitely goes both ways, but it takes time and energy to establish that kind of trust, and you've done that in spades. So as we go through this podcast, we're setting the table here. There's several episodes that lie ahead. What are you hoping the listener that has discovered this show is going to find out about your company and how you can help them?
First of all, I would hope that people, when they listen to these other episodes, the whole point was we didn't want it to be infomercial. We're not trying to sell you anything that we talked about.
Right.
We just wanted to give you information. This podcast to me was important to do just because a lot of times we do get those, and this was mentioned in that one episode, we get these calls and sometimes it's simple as changing batteries.
Right.
You know what I mean? Well, do we want to make money? Yes. Then that's why we're all in business. But if I could save you $100 by asking you a question over the phone by saying, did you change your batteries in your stat? I don't want you to be offended. I'm thinking I'm calling you a dummy. It's just one of those things that we overlook. You get busy. The kids are crying, the dog's barking, whatever. And you just, you know what? I didn't look at that. It's just something simple.
Right.
My network is pretty vast now in the industry. There's not a problem that you'll have that I can't find the answer to. Whether I have it or one of my partners have it. We're going to find the best possible solution, and we're always going to do our best to give you the best possible solution at the best price. I don't want to say lowest price because that infers cheap.
Right.
And we try not to do that. We try to, we're going to say, hey, look, you really need this, but we can get you by doing this until you can have the funds for that.
Right.
We want to do the permanent fix, but not everybody has the funds for that at every moment. Mm-hmm. So you have to do bubble gum on a, rubber band and whatever else.
Right.
We don't like doing that, but we understand everybody's financial situation is different.
Sure. Well, I can say, since I've got to be a part of all of this today, there's so much good information ahead for homeowners. So we highly encourage, start digging into this content. Like Rob said, this isn't an infomercial, not meant to sell anything. From a homeowner's perspective, this is information that's going to help you make decisions, help you know who to contact, especially for those of us here in the Western Pennsylvania area where R. Davis Mechanical is located. This is going to give you a reason why these guys are a trusted resource and why they've become so successful. So start digging in. And Rob, I want to thank you for all the time, not just in the last 15, 20 minutes here talking about your story, but really setting the table for something really special with these episodes as they unfold and for building a great Pittsburgh proud business.
Yeah. A few other quick notes. We are veteran owned. I am a veteran.
Okay.
We've been certified veteran owned recently. Yeah. We donate no less than 1 or 2 sources to veterans in need every year.
Excellent.
We just want you guys to know we're people.
Yeah.
Who are we? We like to have a good time. Guys have feelings. We're not just, we get yelled at too. They get yelled at. They yell at me. It's just, we try to have fun in what we do. We just want people to know that we're here if you need us. But if you just have a question, I have no problem answering questions.
Excellent. So as you go forward with these episodes, there's plenty of great information, links to resources that we talk about throughout each episode as well. So have some fun with us. It's going to be a good ride. Rob, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. We'll see you guys on the next episode. Start digging in.
Thanks.